President, my question is for the Minister for Small Business. Minister, I refer to a small business near my electorate office in Chapel Street, South Yarra, SOS Cafe. It has not yet received a grant under the Licensed Hospitality Venue Fund, despite the business being down 90%. Why has the government tied this small business in red tape, refusing to process his legitimate request for urgently needed support in the face of the government's harsh lockdown?
Minister Pulford.
Thank you, President. I thank Mr Davis for his question and his advocacy on behalf of SOS Cafe in Chapel Street. His question relates to the Licensed Hospitality Fund, which is not a fund that I administer, though obviously I have an interest because many of the eligible businesses are also small businesses as well as licensed venues. What is happening for most of our business grants programs now that they are, of course, well, in some respects a year old and in almost all respects many weeks old, is a system of automatic payments. And so without being in a position to review the particulars of SOS Cafe's application, it is possible that there is a problem with their eligibility or perhaps an error in their application form, because these payments should typically be being paid automatically. But if Mr Davis could email me the details, ideally including the application number, I'd be very pleased to follow this up for SOS Cafe this afternoon.
Mr Davis on a supplementary.
Well, President, I thank the Minister for being prepared to look at this. And Minister, you and the Department of Jobs, Precincts and Regions appear to have created a red tape behemoth. Behemoth. Lovely. I'm pleased that you know what it is, because that's what you've created. When can Mr Gihan Dom at SOS Cafe expect to receive the payment to which he is entitled?
Mr Pulford.
Thank you, President. I thank Mr Davis for his further question. There are many, many tens of thousands of businesses in Victoria that are regularly in receipt of business support payments, whether it's through the BCAP program, the Licensed Hospitality Venue Fund, the Small Business COVID Hardship Fund, or a number of others specific to specific sectors. Overwhelmingly, these payments are now being made automatically. If businesses are finding that they are somehow stuck in having their assessments considered and responses and issues around eligibility resolved, I would assure businesses that considerable resources are being directed to these. It's often quite challenging to identify what the eligibility problem is. For those without an eligibility problem, payments are happening automatically in most instances. So if I could ask Mr Davis to send me the application number and I'll follow this up, determine the eligibility problem and provide that advice to the business.
Dr. Cumming.